Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Village Law SEQFC preview show. My name is Darren Lutton. There's this little Facebook page that we've got going called SEQFC. It does quite well. Here's our show for the week. We're going to run through all the leagues that are happening in this part of the world. To run through it all with me, we've got some players and coaches. But first, I'm going to welcome Lliam to the show. G'day, Lliam. He's back.
Hey, everyone. How are we all?
Good to have you. Now, I'm going to introduce our guests as we go. I'll first introduce Ross Davidson from Rochedale. G'day, Ross.
How mate?
Good. Great to have you on board. Great to see the Rovers flying at the moment.
Apart from the weekend, yeah, we're going.
Apart from the weekend, yes, we will come to that shortly. All right, but let's kick off our show with the NPL, and it's business as usual. Lions on top. Lliam, what do we make of this competition at the moment?
Well, yeah, Lions appear to be doing the usual Lions thing. Olympics seem to be doing the typical Olympic thing as well, where they're kind of good and they're bad, and they're looking. Knights are kind of where they are. Power probably haven't been that low on the table for a couple of seasons. Even when I say that at fourth, that's reasonably unfamiliar territory for them for the last few years. But I think right down the bottom there, you've got Capalaba with no wins yet, which isn't the best, for them. They tried so hard to get up into the NPL there a few years ago, and it looks like it's all coming crashing down from now. Brisbane City, Logan Lightning, duking it out for that second spot to go down. Everyone's heard my rants about Brisbane Raw being untouched and unable to go down. I think that's wrong. So if I was Brisbane City or Logan, I'd be feeling pretty annoyed at that, about that situation. But I think it's at the top of the ladder for the last 3 years. It's looking very familiar.
It certainly is. But yes, Logan and Brisbane City. Brisbane City, of course, were in big trouble early on in the season. They've made a bit of a charge. They're in ninth place now, and Logan are the ones in the firing line. We haven't talked about them much this season.
No, we haven't. And I mentioned Capalaba before about them trying really hard to get up. They managed to stay up in the NPL the last few years, but Logan Lightning only just went up there a few seasons ago as well. And to see them come back down again, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with that if they come back down. And Brisbane City who knows? Could be City or Logan that come down.
Ross, what do you make of the competition this season?
I think it's probably as strong as it's ever been, to be fair. Just talking there, Brisbane City last year in the QPL didn't lose a game, and they've battled this year in the NPL, which I think has made a couple of additions. But the league is very, very strong. Lions is extremely strong this year. Logan and City have got to play each other twice yet, I think. So that will, I suspect, determine who comes down and who doesn't. But I think it'll still be very, very close. But yeah, very, very tough league to play in. I think the difference in the NPL to the QPL is, and no disrespect to the QPL, but there's not any, if any, easy games in the NPL. I'm not saying there's easy games in the QPL, but you can have an off week in the QPL and maybe get a result, whereas in the NPL, you will get punished. And I think City are finding that out this year, where if you're not on your game, as you should be, any team can beat any team. I mean, Logan were 2-0 up last night against Knights. Ended up being 2-2, but it just goes to show that any team can beat anyone in that level. My result proved that as well on the weekend. But if you have an off game in the NPL, you'll get punished.
Given how amazing City were in the competition last year, to see them in ninth place at the moment, does it surprise you?
I'll be honest with you, no, it doesn't. I spent 6 years in the NPL, knowing what the league is and what it's like. It just doesn't. I know City are a very good team, but you're playing against good teams every week. You've got Lions, you've got Olympic, you've got Sunny Coast Wanderers, who can't lose at home. You're just going up to a league where all the teams are very strong. So you've got to be up for it every single week. And if you're not, Lions beat City 7-0. Now, Lions would never beat City 7-0. City had an off game, but 7 goals against City is a huge amount of goals in any league at any time. That just doesn't happen. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, and I don't think they're going to get relegated, to be honest. But yeah, it's a very, very tough league. So it doesn't surprise me where they're sitting. I thought they might have been a bit higher, but yeah, it's a very tough league up there.
And of course, City are in the final 32 of the FFA Cup, of Australia Cup. Oh, I did it.
Yeah, no, they've done really well, and they've probably got a really good chance of going through to the 16 with the team they've drawn. So yeah, they've done well there for sure.
All right, Ross, we'll come back to you in just a moment. I want to bring in two of our player guests this evening as we talk NPL women's. We've got 2 players whose names, as a commentator, you would just love to roll these names off your tongue. We've got Bella Habuda and Katie Kissell from South United. Good evening, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Bella, I'm going to start with you. You were at Gold Coast a couple of seasons ago, and then in the summer you played for the Wanderers, and now you're at South United. Tell us about what made you sign for Gary French's team.
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to change. I moved a little bit closer to Brisbane, so it kind of worked well. I knew Gary from my first year at Gold Coast. He actually lived where I live in Canada for a while and coached at the same club I grew up playing at and knows all of my coaches. So we'd always like chat about that. They'd always like be texting him or messaging him about me. So we just got on really well. And I knew a couple of the other girls, and Key, who's my former teammate, also went over to South, and she always told me how much she loved it. So I kind of was just ready for a change. Alex, who was my coach at Gold Coast, decided he wasn't going to coach anymore. So I kind of figured, it'd be a good time to make the change. Yeah.
All right. So, Katie, tell us about how you. Let me just say, Gary French, the most connected man in football. He knows absolutely everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Katie, tell us how you got to join South United.
Yeah, it was kind of just random for me. I'm obviously from the US, so I retired for about 4 years and coached at a uni over there. And then I was nursing, and it was a bit hard to play soccer in the US and be a nurse. So I moved over here, and then I just decided to go try out. And South was right by where I was living at the time in Brisbane. So I went to the tryout, and then I made the team at South. And weirdly enough, I didn't know Gary beforehand. It was literally, I just chose it because it was close to my house at the time. And my college roommate was Australian. And I messaged her and said what team I was on. And she goes, "Is the coach Gary?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And she goes, "I grew up playing under Gary." And she knew half the girls on the team. So I didn't know Gary before going into it, but I just randomly messaged him for a tryout when I got over here. And this is my 3rd season now with them. So I started with South, and I've stayed at South.
Amazing stuff. Tell us about your weekend. You went up to Cairns to play in the Cup of Super Cup?
Yeah, Cairns was great. It was a quick trip. I don't think any of us slept during the trip. I think a lot of people don't realize, but half of our team is from the Gold Coast. So we had to fly out of Brisbane, and I think we woke up at 2 a.m. and maybe slept about 45 minutes to an hour before we had to play our game, due to by the time we got there and by the time we could check into the hotel, we were on lack of sleep for the game. But it was a great environment up there. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, they're pretty good club, Edge Hill, aren't they? They're very, very strong in women's. They always have been.
Yeah, they were very good.
And you only just got over the line.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were just really tired, as Katie said. Like, I think I only got 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I had to wake up at 2 in the morning, get to Brisbane because we thought the airport was going to be really busy. And then we flew out and we couldn't get into our hotel room till about 2:30. So then most of us got a bit of a nap before we had to head to the field. But the field really didn't do much favors for us. We were lucky we didn't get away with a lot of injuries because a lot of like the side of the field was just kind of mud. So not much football could be played, but we got over the edge at the end, and I missed a couple chances and got called offside a couple times, but we got through the end and are looking forward to Lions in a few weeks.
Let's have a talk about the NPL women's. You're currently in 6th place, but a few weeks ago it was looking very dicey, wasn't it?
Yeah, our league, I think besides Lions, our league is very competitive. Like there's no easy game this year by any means. And like if we win our next game, we'll move up to 2nd. That's how close 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are. There's not really much of a difference. So the next like 6 games are really gonna play into who's gonna get the top 4. Like obviously no one's gonna touch Lions, and that's how it is year after year. But I think the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place are really up for grabs. So we play Sunny Coast this weekend, which is a massive game for us. If we can beat them, we could possibly be in 2nd or 3rd. So it would put us in good standings.
And amazing how quickly it can turn.
Yeah, it's definitely this is definitely the hardest season I think I've played in my 3 years.
A running discussion that we have with our guests is the competition last season, where there was just the one league with, what were there, about 20 teams, 18 teams. This season, the split. Are you preferring it?
Yeah,
No,
I think
I don't.
It's good and bad. Like you had all of those games, or like half of them you could beat close to 8-10-0, and Lions were beating some of them like 14-0. I think this is definitely a lot of like, it's better soccer at the end of the day, but it's nice to have those games, especially when you're a forward. You can rack up some goals easily. But I think I prefer the harder games, but to each their own.
I think we'll take that as a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Have you been keeping tabs on the FQPL as well?
No.
Not really, unfortunately, no. I think
That's
it's just
fine.
our league.
Yeah, but it was hard to keep track with it. There's just so many games happening.
Yeah, and I think our league's so close right now. There's not like a clear 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, that everyone's just so focused on our game. And I know all the girls from like different clubs, everyone's continuing to watch each game, because an upset, it could really move a lot of people in 2nd or 3rd or 4th. And like Sunny Coast last year, I think they were almost kind of one of the bottom of the league a little bit, and now they're doing so good this year. So it should be interesting the rest of the season.
Yeah, the FQPL 1 women's Peninsula Power 10 points clear at the top of the table.
Yeah.
Liam, your ladies in 3rd place at the moment.
Yeah, they'd be disappointed with their loss against Virginia. I think it was last Sunday, whenever it was. No, anyway, yeah. So I think Pie and the girls will be very disappointed with that. But look, Power, they're a different team this season. They're on top of the ladder, and rightly so. They've really walked it this year compared to last year, where they really struggled. They were like bottom, if not second bottom. So Smithy's done a great job there to turn that whole club around with its women's program, and you should. And every time I'm on, I always praise Penn Power for doing what they've done with the women's game, and it's a great example for other clubs to follow. Same with but up in the NPL with Lions, they're always they've always been the benchmark. So hopefully Penn Power can get up next year, and they can if they keep going with that momentum, hopefully they can do well with that. It's going to be a bit of a duke out between Michigan and Western Pride. So that'll be one that's going to be one to watch. I think Pride have got a game in hand at the moment. So for that second, is it 2 up? I think it is 2 up. Yeah, this season. So yeah, they'll be duking that out. City again on the heels. I don't know how happy they'd be with their women's program, considering how well they run their club, and they always behind their women in the socials and everything. So they'd be hoping that perhaps next season they can probably do a little bit better. But Thunder, Lightning, and the Gap, of course, there is a bit of a gap there, unfortunately. But Thunder are always they're always bloody giving their best with their games. So yeah, but Power's going to go up, Mitchie, and Pride to duke it out in the end. The last few games, so it'd be interesting to watch those few games.
All right, Bella and Katie, I know that at least one of you has a job to go to within the next hour or so. So if you're not here by the end of the show, that's fine. Thank you for your time this evening. We will move on.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
All right, let's move on to the FQPL 1 men's, and we'll bring Ross Davidson back in. Now, Rochedale Rovers, they've been an almost club for the past few years. What's been the difference this year, Ross, apart from the fact that you're now the coach?
I don't know. Obviously, the past 4 or 5 years, I wasn't there, so I don't know the difference in terms of what happened or what didn't happen. And in fairness, last year, if 2 teams went up, they would have got promoted. But it was just one of those years where 1 team went up. So it's been a little bit weird. But this year, the boys have started really well. First 3 games, we weren't great, but we went on a really good run after that. We've just been pretty consistent, probably for sort of 10 to 12 weeks, to be fair. The weekend was a slip up. Even the week before that against Ipswich, we got out of jail. But maybe that's a wake up call, because I had a good chat to all the boys after the game on Saturday night, and just said, we haven't done anything yet, so please don't look too far ahead to what could happen or potentially could happen. Just have to look at what's in front of us now, deal with that, and then at the end of it, then we can assess it. So really good session last night, and we'll go on again tomorrow night and prepare for strikers on Saturday.
You do have that bloke named Marek Madley in your squad now, don't you? So he's handy addition to have.
Yeah, he's not a bad striker to have, to be fair. He's too good for the league, to be honest with you. He's an NPL player, that's for sure. But I had some dealings with him at Lions, and I had a chat with him in the off season, and he's been keen. He came in. His level of professionalism has been excellent. Dragged a few boys up with him. He got injured in the cup game against Power, which it was odd, to be fair, because I watched it back a few times on video, and there was nothing in it. It was just a sort of coming together of 2 bodies, but no foul or anything. It was basically nothing, but it was a cork originally, and then something in the top of his leg. The physio said what it was, but it was like blood, something burst basically, and all the gunk just seeped down through his calf into his ankle. Kept him out for 3 weeks, when in reality it probably should have been a week, maybe 2 at best. So we missed him for a few games. He came back last week and probably a little bit underdone, a little bit rusty, but he's looked excellent at training this week, so he'll come back in for the strikers and be ready to go.
Yeah, so you are taking on Brisbane Strikers this weekend. They've been very hard to get a handle on this year. What's your take on them?
Yeah, they have. They started extremely well, and then sort of dropped off a little bit, and then came back, and then you're right. They're a bit hard to gauge where they'll be at, if they'll turn up or if not. But in fairness, it doesn't matter, to be fair. If we turn up and do our job, they turn up and do theirs, it should be a really good game. But we'll focus on what we can do and what we can do well, and consistently well. If we do that, I think we're in a good space to be able to take 3 points. But in saying that, they're a very good team. Jordan Farina up front. So they brought in a couple of decent lads as well. Luke Boring in goal is always. He's going to win you some games during the season. So, yeah, they'll be up for it, and it should be a good game.
Are Redlands the team that you're fearing at the moment?
I wouldn't say we're fearing Redlands. That they're a very, very good team. We've played them twice and beaten them twice, so there's no fear in regards to that. They've been very, very consistent. And Graham Harvey is an excellent coach, probably easily the best coach in our league. So, yeah, they're certainly ones to watch. But in saying that, Western Pride are ones to watch as well. They're not that far away. They've got a game in hand. I think Strikers have got 2 games in hand. So it's still very, very tight there. I think out of those 4, I know Mackay's coming home quite strong, and I wouldn't rule them out, but it'll be a tough ask, I would think. So, yeah, in and around those 4 or 5, we'll decide the finals and obviously promotion spots.
That is the big surprise for me, looking at the ladder, Lliam. Mackay in 4th place.
Yeah, look, they started strong. They had a bit of a dip, and now they're coming back strong. Lyle up there, oh geez, you know, I think he's had a few hat tricks in a few games now. But those of us that have travelled up to Mackay know very well that the crowd really gets behind them. They got great facilities. They always get some great support up there, and they always perform well at home. They had a bit of a blowout against I think it was Mitchie. I actually watched that game online there, and it's a hard one because whenever you travel, you have to watch who you bring with you. And unfortunately, Magpies didn't bring a spare keeper, so when he was red carded early in the game, Mitchie just ran riot in there. You know, they had to put one of their field guys in goal. So look, I think just going on with the rest of the ladder. I mean, strikers. I mean, we didn't think they'd be near mid table, but again, you know, they've got 2 games in hand. That whole from 3rd down to 7th, and you know, a couple of poor results there, and for any one of those clubs, and you know, it can turn quite easily. But yeah, I think also TK there at Caboolture with Mitchie starting to find a bit of form. I'd be a bit concerned about that. Him dropping down to 10th for that playoff spot for the relegation. He wouldn't want to go back down after he just came back up either. So I wish him all the best there with him and his boys. It's it's going to be interesting. Final 4 or 5 games of the season, so it's not over yet.
Very quickly.
Sorry.
Yeah,
so just with, I think Mackay recruited quite well as well in that transfer window. They picked up some really good signings, and Lyle has sort of sparked up again from that. I suspect, and the game on the weekend, like some of the goals they scored were excellent. So they're certainly hitting some good form. Thankfully, we've played them twice already. I know, so we haven't. We've got them again yet. No, we haven't.
Yeah, I think when I went to Mackay with Pride, he got a hat trick against them as well. So when he's on form, he's incredible. He's a tall, strong lad too. He can push any defender away. So
he's quite deceptively fast. He doesn't seem fast, but he's before you know it, he's gone, and his left foot is lethal.
And he's a proper striker too. Like he'll have a crack from goal from any angle.
Yeah.
You know,
he can score.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
he's a proper striker. He is. Love it. Yeah. All right. Quickly looking at the FQPL2, Surfers Paradise are a mile on top. There's Daylight 2nd, Albany Creek in 3rd, but 2nd. Daylight. You know what I'm talking about there. I went and saw North Star and Magic on the weekend. Apparently, North Star are Magic's bogey team. Amazing second half by North Star, scoring 4 goals.
Yeah.
And that got North Star out of a lot of trouble. They've moved up into 8th place. They were looking at the bottom of the ladder. That is an important win for them. But let's move on to the competitions where we have guests.
Yep.
And we move on to the FQPL3 Metro Men's for the formerly Football Brisbane competition. What's it called? Metro North and South. That's the one. And we have got Lee Walker with us from Bayside. G'day, Lee. It's your debut on the show. Welcome.
Hi, mate.
Very well, very well. Now, you're in 3rd place at the moment. Is that where you expected to be?
Given when I came in, we weren't exactly in a great position when I came in. Bit of a tough ask to come in and sort of kickstart the season again. But with the quality that we boys have got, we should be up there. That's what I believe anyway. So yeah, started to chase down Lakes and St George now. Obviously we've still got to play them both. We've got a pretty tough run in, but I guess we've just got to beat the teams ahead of us to get up there.
So let's talk about that beginning of the season there, Lee. So of course Bayside won the grand final last year. Trevor Rodman, the coach, left. You've taken over. Was it a player exodus as well?
Yeah, so obviously they had another coach in at the start of the season. Not too sure what went on there. Obviously, I started the season with Booby up at East. And then, moved down to the Bayside, end of, probably about the start of May. And my first game was actually in the FFA Cup with Rochedale. which,
Wow.
given that we hadn't trained and stuff, I hadn't really had a chance to put anything on there. So, I feel like we competed quite well in that game, considering. And obviously, we've had a bit of a player exodus, but, when you do well the season before and results aren't going your way, offers come in from other clubs and, the kind of attractive offers for the players. So, we've seen a few players move on and we've had to replace a few. It's just how it's gone.
Just quickly, Ross, do you remember that game against Bayside?
Yeah. I remember it was, I think we scored relatively early, but if our goalkeeper didn't keep us in it, it would have easily been 1-1 or it could have been 2-1, to be fair. So Lugo made, I think, 2, maybe 3 really good saves in the first half, which kept us in the lead. Second half was probably a little bit more comfortable, but the first half was certainly, it was a good battle.
Yeah, if we'd taken any of those chances, it definitely would have been a bit more of a competitive second half, I would say.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have minded if you knocked me out of that, because Cooper McCormack got injured out of it, and then Marek got injured out of the power game. So I've lost players for 6 or 7 weeks overall. Two of my better players from the cup. So, and I wasn't going to go on and win the cup, but it would have. If I had lost that game, although I like losing games, it wouldn't have been the end of the world for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
There you go. Should have won, Lee.
Oh, well.
It's
always next
It's all your
season.
fault, Lee. It's all your fault. Yeah.
There's always that balance with the Australia Cup, or FFA Cup kind of games, isn't there? It's like, but do you start your best squad because you want to get through, or do you start the juniors and just do enough just to get through? How do you handle that, knowing that you've got so much more of the season to go yet? Do you just go for it?
Well, the way I approached it was, again, no disrespect to the teams, but we drew North Star, which I think, we should beat them. We drew Bayside.
Yeah.
I think we should beat them. We drew Power, and then we go, well, if I'd have drawn Power or Olympic, any of those teams before, they would have beaten us. I wouldn't have played my strongest teams, because then you know where you're going to, because we played Power on Tuesday night. Then we had to play Redlands on the Friday night, which is first versus second. So regardless of how we were going in that game, I took Marek, Lliam, MacArthur, and can't remember three. Anyway, I made 3 subs at halftime, but 3, again, players that I knew I needed for Friday night, with the view that I'm not winning the Australian Cup, And again, even that, I started a strong team, because if you win that, you through the round of 32. Whereas if that had been a round before, I wouldn't have. So it's a balancing act. Cooper got suspended against North Star for 3 games. He got injured against Bayside for 4 games, and Marek was out for 3 games. So overall, I've lost 2 key players for 10 games to go nowhere in the cup. So it's a bit of a balancing act, to be honest with you.
The other issue we had entering that game is we had a number of weeks off due to the rain and stuff. So it was one of them. Do you play your strongest 11 just to get match fitness back up there? We had to take that into account as well. And my boys, they hadn't done a training session in 2 weeks prior to that game.
So it was like a training game, really, wasn't it?
It was practically like, I think we got on a field on the Sunday before was it a Tuesday night game? Or Wednesday night game?
Wednesday,
And we managed to get on a field on Sunday morning, and we managed to get a 60-minute sort of run in, but it was nothing amazing. And when you're entering a new team and you want to put your stamp on things, it's very difficult to do that when you're going against an opposition 2 leagues above.
Yeah, sure.
Having said all that, Lee, I'm sensing a lot of confidence from your team for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, we're on a good run at the moment. Obviously, the only sort of the way I look at it, the only difficult game we've really had since I've been there was Newmarket. I feel that was one game that we really just didn't turn up. When we played St. George, it was a relatively even match. until the unfortunate injury to one of their boys. And, you know, I'd still disagree with the rules that FQ have implemented there, but what can you do? But yeah, going forward,
have a whole show on is what we could do.
Well, when you've played 47 minutes, I don't know how you can classify that as a result. But yeah, I mean, going forwards, you know, we've got some difficult games left. We've still got St George, Newmarket, Lakes, and Pine Hills to play. So you know, we've got some good games in there. But the way I'm looking at it is, you know, if we could take some points there, you know, we put ourselves in the mix for promotion. For me, 100%, we should be in top 4. We should be, no issues there.
Okay, now let's quickly move through the other leagues before we get to our final guest this evening. In the FQPL Women's, FQPL 2 Women's, Taringa Rovers and UQFC are fighting out for top space there. In the FQPL 3 Metro Women's, North Brisbane have one hand on the trophy. In the FQPL 4 Men's, Logan Metro, 3 points above North Brisbane and North Pine. In the FQPL 5, Springfield United are 7 points clear of Brighton. Springfield taking on third place Tarragindi this weekend. We were going to get Kevin Meacock on the show, but he just got off a plane getting back from Europe, and it's not that important, mate. We'll talk to you next week. So, but I love his enthusiasm. He was willing to step up and be on the show. In the FQPL 6, Park Ridge, 1 point over Ridge Hills. Ridge Hills are playing third place Old Bridge on the weekend. Now, let's get to the FQPL South Coast Men's. In the top league, Broadbeach are still on top, 2 points over Robina. Palm Beach in third, Kingscliff in fourth. But let's talk FQPL 4 South Coast Men's. For a club that we have never spoken to before, we have got... Mark, is it Boelen? Boelen.
That's it.
Yes, the coach from Murwillumbah. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Darren. Thanks for having me, mate.
Oh, mate, pleasure to have you on board. Now, first things first, tell everyone about the club.
Yeah, Murwillumbah have been around in the Gold Coast Football League for a while now. We've been out of the competition for maybe 4 or 5 years, unfortunately. They were... I don't want to go, I'm not sure why, but they were kicked out of the league for a couple of years. And last couple of years, they haven't been able to form a side. So, yeah, it's our first season back in the league. And, yeah.
And he's sitting very snugly in third place.
We are. Yeah, we're doing all right.
So what do you put that down to? Is that the personal magnetism that you have as a coach, that you've brought in some fantastic players, or what's going on?
No, when I was approached about the job, they had a group of 18 JPL players that they wanted to promote into seniors. So I've been able to incorporate them into the senior squad and get some of the old boys back to the club that had been playing elsewhere, when Murwillumbah weren't in the competition. So some of them boys have been successful with Kingscliff when they got promoted, and they were Murwillumbah boys originally, so I was able to get them back. And yeah, we've just got a good little vibe going, and as the year went on, we seemed to pick up, you know, some more good signings, and yeah.
How many players do you have at the club?
In my squad?
Oh, no, just in the club overall.
I think we'd have maybe a couple of hundred.
Couple of hundred. Okay, so
yeah.
You're not a massive club by any stretch.
No, we're not. So yeah.
Okay, so and your catchment area, have you got, you know, lots of suburbs around that you can draw on?
Yeah, we do. So we have that Lismore region as well, that we seem to attract players that want to play at a better level, because the Gold Coast League's quite strong compared to the Northern New South Wales League, I guess. And obviously the Tweed area. So Kingscliff, Tweed, that area, we seem to attract players as well. So.
And I saw that did you play Tweed United on the weekend?
The week before.
Week before. So that's your local derby, isn't it?
It was, yeah. So,
And how'd you go?
yeah. We got a result 3-1, which was good. They did the job on us in the first leg at their ground 2-0. So it was good to get one back on them.
So is the ambition at the moment just to try and get that, to keep that squad and try and build more players and first of all, or they're looking at going up through the league the best
They're
they can?
6 points off promotion, Lliam.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, does the club, obviously, they're getting the results that they want to go up, but are they an ambitious club? Like, you talk to people like Caboolture or something, they're like, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're throwing all the money. Service Paradise Apollo, they're all talking the talk. Is that where the club wants to go, or are they just trying to consolidate after a few years out, do you think?
Yeah, well, when I took over, I think the ambition was to build something over 3 years to get us to a place where we could, with these juniors. We've got some 15, 16-year-old boys that are coming through that are quite good as well.
Yeah.
But certainly we do want to go up and get promoted. Happens this year, it's a hard league to get out of this league. And I've got a good enough side to be competitive in the league above, that's for sure. So, but yeah, we're ambitious, but we want to do it the right way. We don't want to throw money at it.
Yeah.
Murwillumbah's a long way to come. In years gone by, we've had success at Murwillumbah, but it's been for 1-2 years, and it's cost a lot of money to get lads down from the Gold Coast to come play for us.
Yeah.
And we want to draw from our own pool of talent we've got, and but we definitely are an ambitious club, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they're a good club.
Speaking of ambition, you're taking on Pack Pines this weekend. They're a club that have flirted with promotion in prior years. How do you reckon you'll go against them?
Yeah, I think we'll do all right. I got to see them and Tweed played on the weekend because we had the bye, so I went and had a little sticky beak, and I hadn't seen them yet. They're a good side. Tweed got the job done, but that's what Tweed do. They're experienced. They've been there before. So I thought Pines were probably the better side, to be fair. But yeah, I was impressed with Pines. They're fit. They're physical. They've got some quality lads. But so do I. And I'm quietly confident we'll get the job done.
Mark, looking at the top league on the South Coast, Broadbeach on top, is that a surprise to you at all?
No, not at all. They're a great club. They had a couple of rough years going back, but Jamie Thompson, or Thomas, I think it is, he's done a great job there. And, I'm happy to see them. I've been involved with them as a coach before, and they're a great club, and they've got ambition and good people behind the scenes. So, no, not a surprise at all.
So are there any surprises in that league for you?
No, not really. I think the top three are pretty much solid. They're the three that I expected, I guess. I guess that fourth spot's the hot spot. There's a few teams there with Burleigh and Kingscliff and Southport. So that's an interesting spot that's up for grabs, I guess. Kingscliff are fourth, are they, at the moment?
They are, yes, on goal difference.
Yeah, so, they're a good side, Kingscliff. I think, they're probably the side that can get that fourth spot, if you were to put me on the spot and ask. But, yeah, not too many surprises. And Palm Beach not doing as well as I thought they'd do. It's the only surprise.
Does Murwillumbah have a kinship with Kingscliff, or are you enemies? how does that work?
No, I think Murwillumbah are enemies with Kingscliff and Tweed, maybe. Definitely Tweed after the derby. But yeah, no. I guess players have flirted between both clubs over the years. So yeah, there's some connection there, but I don't think there's much love between the clubs, to be honest.
Good stuff. Interesting. Very good. All right. Now let's quickly have a look at the Sunny Coast leagues. We'll just run through who's on top. Rochedale are on top in the men's. Kawana had a big win over Noosa on the weekend to get themselves into. They're actually joint top, but they have played 2 games extra than the Swans. So Interesting stuff there. Woombai are still on top in the women's despite a loss on the weekend. They're 2 points ahead of Maroochydore, who are the team that they thought would would have run away with that league this season. Quickly looking at Toowoomba and the Darling Downs, Willowburn on top in the men's on 29 points. They're also on top in the women's as well. However, Highfields are making a charge, just 1 point behind. All right, guys, that's our run through all the leagues. Now, before we wrap up the show, just want to have a quick chat about the festival of football that we've got going at the moment with all the overseas clubs. I got Liam's initial reaction when they were announced, but now that they're here, now that all your teams have been decimated with, oh, mate, going down to Melbourne to watch United play, what do you think of it all? Is it good? Is it good that they're here?
Yes, it is. It's good to see people like when's the next opportunity you're going to sit down and watch 2 Premier League teams, Villa and Leeds, have a crack with one another. And there's a lot of expats in the crowd too, so they'll be very happy. They may not get to see their Leeds and their Villas again. For the youngsters, it's good. It's good to keep their passion in the game. The thing I get annoyed at though is, and as you've probably heard before, and I've always said it, and I've always ranted about it, is just the lack of support from the government when it comes to our own brand of football in Queensland any other time of the year. If it hasn't got its Live in Queensland splash all over it, they don't care for it. We're very lucky to get the Matildas and the Socceroos in, but again, they're friendlies. Again, it's Live in Queensland, can be splashed all over it. When it comes to anything meaningful like World Cup qualifiers or something, they just don't want anything. They just don't want anything to do with it. I've been very vocal online about the lack of support from our local Queensland government very numerous times. So yeah, it's good.
All right. So we've had your opinion, Liam. Let's hear from the other guys.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Would anyone like to throw an opinion in the mix?
God. I mean, generally for me, obviously it's great having it here, but the frustration is obviously you want the A-League to grow, but then, there's been times where I've not even realised there's been an A-League game on, sort of thing. There's just nothing online. I don't see any advertisement at all, whereas, everybody knew that United was in town, Palace was in town, Leeds, everyone knew about it and knew about it for weeks. Like I knew about United coming over months ago, sort of thing. But I couldn't tell you when Brisbane Roar kick off their season.
Yeah.
It's sort of silly how the promotion doesn't really work, to grow those leagues. And that hence why all the attendances are down and have been moving down for a number of years now.
Russell, Mark?
I think it's great. Premier Leagues come to the country or come to Queensland on the back of you get a lot of people who obviously follow the Premier League from over here, but you get to see them live. It's been great, to be fair. I agree with regards to the state government. We probably, I think Rob Askew might have put it up actually online, where in terms of participation for sport, we are the biggest, but funding, we are the smallest. Mm-hmm. So I think the state government has a lot to answer for in that space. The game doesn't grow without money, and then you've got so many people playing, and especially female sport now, in terms of football, is just exploded. The amount of money that they put into it is nowhere near enough. AFL does it exceptionally well. My daughter plays AFL, and the last 3 or 4 years, that's just absolutely exploded. But it's been funded. AFL's funded it, yes, but the government's put in a good chunk of money to grow it. They don't do that with football, where the Matildas will come and they'll make a big deal about it, and look, they're here, but then they'll go and then it'll die. So I agree. I think the state government has a bigger hand to play than what they do at the moment.
What about you, Mark? Were you at Seabus last weekend for the Leeds Raw game?
No, I was actually came up to the Palace Leeds game in Brisbane on Sunday. So
there you go.
Yeah, so it was good. The atmosphere was good. So took my 2 young boys up. They enjoyed it. So no, I think it's good, mate. I'm just ashamed Liverpool didn't come for me personally.
Oh God, here we go.
I'm not saying anything there.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Look, I think it's the chicken or the egg thing. You know, like you have to advertise the game. You got to get support behind the game. The A leagues have got to spend money on the game. Channel 10's got to spend money on the game. They got advertise, and you get more people to the games, and then maybe the government may take notice. Or does the government step in first and start going, here you go, here's your facilities, let's run with it. We've got Women's World Cup next year, here's your facilities. Olympic Games, here's a great place for you to come to after the games are finished. Because at the moment, none of that's going to be there for us. It's there for every other bloody sport, but football. And so, what comes first? The chicken or the egg, as they say. I could go on, Darren. You better stop right now, otherwise you won't shut me up.
All right, guys, that's our show for this evening. Thank you very much for you watching online, and also thank you to our coaches and players who participated this evening. Great to have you on board. This has been the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We'll see you next week.